T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff. Welcome to Sport Weasel Central, coming to you from the Far West Bureau of our little broadcast. This is Lugs.
I'm J-Boy at the home office.
And I'm T-Dog in the dungeon.
Hey, fellas, Aaron Rodgers came out of his darkness retreat and saw a shadow. Does that mean we'll have 6 more weeks of football, or what?
I would say we'll have 6 more months of nonsense with him. I mean, he came out of the darkness, and he still can't see, you know.
So this is sports and other stuff. We took a week off after the Super Bowl. Too much partying, in fact, and Lugs never left Arizona after the big press junket. Lugs, can you hear us? Come in. Are you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay. Before we get into the QB carousel and the Rodgers, what's that, Osaka tea? Wakataka tea? What's he drinking?
Hiawatha.
Yeah,
Hiawatha.
Let's talk about the revolving assistant coaches and coordinates. Let's start with Eric Bieniemy. What do you think, Lugs? Like that to the Washington Commanders?
Obviously, they needed some help offensively. I think they'll need themselves a quarterback. I think Eric Bieniemy is a far better offensive coordinator than most people would give him credit. I think he's in Andy Reid's shadow. I just feel for him in the sense of having to go away from Kansas City to prove himself that he can actually be a head coach. But it's a win for, I started to say the Redskins,
That's okay.
the Commanders.
There's a 1-year grace period on that.
Okay, well, I'm good. But he will have some people like receivers to work with, but I'm not sure about quarterback Sam Howell. What do you think, Dog?
Yeah, I think the weird thing is they got rid of Carson Wentz. I guess that's not the weird thing. They got rid of Carson Wentz. 2 years in a row, he gets put in a position because Tyler Heineke, he was the guy. And again, I'm not going to say Tyler Heineke was the guy that really orchestrated them getting into a position to possibly make the wild card as a 7th seed or whatever. But they got to the formula of running the ball, their defense playing well. Taylor Heineke made some plays. I'm not going to say he wasn't a part of it. He was. And then for whatever reason, Ron Rivera really believed in Carson Wentz. So in a big spot, they gave Carson Wentz coming off his injury, and he completely killed him. So they got rid of him. And obviously, like you said, Sam Howell did start. He played relatively well. But again, this is a guy who went in the 5th round. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent. And even Ron Rivera, usually you try to do poker face at the combine. And Ron Rivera said, he's our quarterback for right now. He's our starting quarterback for right now, which is a nice way of saying he's the only guy we have on our roster. It's like, what a big endorsement that is.
It's noon somewhere, right? Yeah.
But I think kind of like what you said, Bieniemy, he's only been an OC for 5 years. In those 5 years, and I get that they correspond with Patrick Mahomes, but he clearly had some help in developing Patrick Mahomes because in the 5 years that started, he was there. They won 2 Super Bowls, and they were top 5 in points 4 out of those 5 years. And I think the 1 year they weren't in the top 5, I think they were 6th in points. So,
But isn't Washington kind of coaching purgatory? I mean, come on. Washington? Aren't you surprised by the locale?
Well, I think it's because he knows he's going to be able to call the plays because he helped develop game plans with Mahomes and Andy Reid. But that's why he was never getting any credit because Andy Reid does call the plays. And this goes back with Peterson. This goes back with Matt Nagy. This was not something specific to Bieniemy. Even Brad Childress, that goes back a ways. And if you look at his time through his career of all his stops, before he was the OC, he was a running backs coach. At UCLA, he helped develop Maurice Jones-Drew, who obviously had a very good career in the NFL. His first year with the Minnesota Vikings, Chester Taylor had a career year. And then obviously Adrian Peterson. Again, like Mahomes, I know Adrian Peterson is a special talent, but he helped develop Adrian Peterson. So Adrian Peterson hit his ceiling in the NFL. And then you look at his stop in KC. Jamal Charles had some of his best years with Eric Bieniemy as a running backs coach. Spencer Ware was a very solid starter for essentially 2 years. And then you look at Kareem Hunt came out of nowhere, was a star his first year. Eric Bieniemy was the running backs coach there. And Pacheco this last year. Pacheco was a 7th-round pick, and he like we said, he looked like he was shot out of cannon. He was on fire the way he ran frenetically. And I just think until they get like a proven quarterback or like maybe they draft an interesting guy in this draft, or they get like maybe they get their Derek Carr or whatever. I think their offense is going to mainly run around his background in running attacks. They're going to do some zone blocking, man blocking. They'll do jet sweeps. Obviously saw that in the Super Bowl. And they'll probably definitely have a mobile quarterback, so there'll be RPOs. And I think their offense will really focus on feeding Brian Robinson, using Antonio Gibson in the screen game. They have to feature Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, again, kind of like DJ Moore, is a star that just doesn't get noticed because the quarterback play for his career has been so awful. And then they drafted Jahan Dotson in the first round. He gives them speed on the deep pass. And then Curtis Samuel is great on sweeps, end arounds, and bubble screens. It's just that kind of Debo light. Let's put it that way.
So, follow-up question, Lugs, for you. For all of us diehard Bears fans who long for the good old days, does this mean that Matt Nagy now is the OC in Kansas City and the coach in waiting? What do you think? We love that guy.
No, I think Matt Nagy had his shot, and he proved himself. Are you sure? He proved himself to be just who he is. I mean, yeah, he could if he has a decent season this season, he could get himself a job, say, with the Texans, maybe.
He always throws out the Texans. What is that about, man? But wait, Andy's going to retire. He's 63, Reed, right?
No, he's not.
T-Dog, come on. Yeah.
No. Nagy, he will be there as long as Mahomes is there. As long as Mahomes is there. As soon as Mahomes decides to hang it up, Andy will. I mean, because he knows what got him there. And it wasn't brats, although it's obvious he's consumed several tons.
I thought he was a cheesecake man myself. But what do you say, T-Dog? Nagy, come on.
I co-sign with Lugs on this. I mean, maybe something happens with his health. God forbid. I don't want anything bad to happen to Andy Reid. But unless he has a health problem or something else in his life makes him, he's gonna hold on to Patrick Mahomes because, again, it's like it's a great symbiotic relationship. Patrick Mahomes is going to be great regardless of Andy Reid. He's just another level better with Andy Reid. The same thing with Andy Reid. Andy Reid was already a great coach, but now all of a sudden he's now getting the accolades that he should have got beforehand. That he is a great coach, not just a very good coach. So,
all right. Yeah, and when you look at it realistically, with all those draft picks and whoever engineered that for the Tyreek Hill trade, if it was Andy Reid, whoever it was, that was a genius move because they don't have to worry about major overhead because they're going to have rookie contracts for a long time now, especially on defense.
Their GM and Andy Reid worked together, Veach. So it was a combination of those two, I would say, mainly. So yeah, they understood they couldn't afford. And they were, and you look at the short-term returns, particularly on Karlaftis and Pacheco, some of those guys in that rookie class. And again, I know Sky Moore was obviously a disappointing career. I still think Sky Moore's ceiling is very good, and them being able to get Kadarius Toney if he stays healthy, which is a big if. I'm not going to hold my breath, but like if he can be healthy, he could be a quasi Tyreek Hill for him. So,
all right, let's keep it in the Bears family. Defensive genius Vic Fangio gets a new gig. T-Dog, do you like this move?
Yeah. You want to talk about experience, kind of like Eric Bieniemy. Vic Fangio has been a DC in the NFL 18 years and a head coach at 3. In that time,
kind of figures that one out, doesn't it?
Yeah, in that time, his defenses have been in the top 10 in points allowed 10 times. So, and you want to talk about the biggest compliment you could have. Three coaches all were clamoring for him, and most of these guys are praised for their offensive minds. Sean Payton wanted him in Denver, lost out.
Yeah.
Frank Wright really wanted him in Carolina, lost out. Mike McDaniels, you look at how quickly he turned that offense into a superpower last year. He's the guy who won out. Supposedly, also being paid $4.5 million a year for the next 3 years and living in Miami doesn't hurt either.
Not bad.
But you look at it, though, the main reason all those guys covet him is his defense is the one that's in vogue right now, and it's even called the Fangio defense. And obviously, some of these guys didn't even work for Fangio. So it's not even really off his branch, just people stole from it. And it's a defense that's known for playing shell coverages to limit big plays. They use multiple coverages that look the same on pre-snap. And they usually only send 4 on pressure, but they always usually change up the 4 positions that are adding pressure. And his D-lines are known for playing 1.5 gaps, where essentially they're like the old 3-4 front, it'd be 2 gap, where a defensive lineman tries to control 2 linemen, or 1 gap where they just try to shoot their gaps. They try to put force on their initial gap, but be able to get control and maybe move into their secondary gap if that's where the play goes. So these are all usually big elements of his defense. And you look at the talent on the Dolphins defense. Obviously, you looked at a year ago before this year, Brian Flores had them playing well. So like these guys didn't all of a sudden lose their talent. I just don't think they were used properly.
Didn't get stupid, right?
Yeah, I just don't think they were used properly because Flores isn't there anymore. I think Fangio is going to figure out how to use all these guys again. And you match that defense with that offense, all of a sudden, everyone talking about Josh Allen owning the AFC East like Brady. I don't know.
So, Lugs, you got Miami going to the Super Bowl already? Did you pencil that one in? Are you getting that?
If they had my man Tom Brady, if they had Derek Carr, if the biggest of all ifs, if Lamar Jackson were to end up there, yes, I would instantly say they would at least be in the competition with their present roster. I don't want to badmouth Tua. I just don't, because the kid's given his heart and soul to the game. But I just don't think he has what it takes. I'm sorry. And he's one head injury away from being done. If he gets another concussion, he will be done. So I think Fangio, he's a great compliment to McDaniels. And McDaniels doesn't have to worry about the defense. It will be taken care of. And that would allow McDaniels to just concentrate on the offense. And they will be a force. They just need a quarterback.
Fangio. Wasn't that a song by Phil Collins? Doot-doot.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. It had a good beat. I could dance to it. Hey, so what other ones? T-Dog coordinators, offensive, defensive, assistant coaches. Anybody else worth mentioning?
I think, we could talk about them maybe in weeks to come. The one off the top of my head I want to give credit for is that I'm kind of interested to see is just we might see Justin Herbert unchained with Kellen Moore going there.
That's true.
So I think because it was and obviously maybe the pressure is put on. I know your all's favorite coach, Mike McCarthy.
Woo-hoo!
Maybe he was asked. I don't know. It's one of those weird decisions because obviously they've been successful these last 2 years, but obviously the ending has been obviously a lot quicker than probably what Jerry Jones wanted. So I don't know if he's being rewarded for being relatively successful in the regular season or if he's like putting more pressure. It's like, I want you to call plays. So if you don't get it done this year, you're out the door. I don't know the situation. Regardless, Mike McCarthy fired Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore, within like a day, it felt like he was with the Chargers. So it's like most of the league probably felt like it wasn't really Kellen Moore's fault. Regardless, you look at what they were under Lombardi, and again, like he was picked up by Denver already, but like you look at on Lombardi, and I'm not saying his offense couldn't work where it was with Drew Brees and stuff, but you just look at the talents of what made Drew Brees great and what Justin Herbert could do, and it's just like you're not playing to this guy's strengths. This guy, again, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Drew Brees, but talent-wise, he's much better than Drew Brees.
Certainly physically.
Yes, so it's just build an offense around that, and obviously they have to upgrade their wide receivers. They have no speed, but I think that's the thing that I'm looking forward to with Kellen Moore. I think he'll use some of these pieces better. And I think they'll really hopefully unlock what Justin Herbert is. Because again, Shane Steichen, who's with the Colts, as a rookie, you look at some of the things they did on offense with Justin Herbert as a rookie. That offense was more progressive than it was these last 2 years in his second and third year. So
I think it's because they were playing in that soccer stadium over there in Carlsbad, suburban Los Angeles. Where was that thing?
Yeah, that didn't help. That didn't help.
It was a rough place. What do you think of that, Lugs?
Well, I think I agree with all those points. I think Kellen Moore is a great upgrade. Move Staley to the side, let him be the figurehead that he's always been, honestly. But they got to get themselves some defensive players. They just do. I mean, Justin Herbert can do a lot. He can do a lot, and he's got enough talented players around him to offensive. But they've got to be able to stop somebody.
Last little tidbit just before we go off this. From the Chargers to Miami Dolphins, you want to talk again the respect that Vic Fangio has. Their defensive coordinator, Ronaldo Hill, he was a defensive coordinator for the Chargers. He left his job to essentially become a position coach underneath Vic Fangio in Miami. Wow. So he essentially is taking a smaller role under Vic Fangio. And obviously he doesn't make calls anyway under Staley. Staley's the one who makes the calls on defense. So I understand that degree, but that's how much respect Fangio has. Is guys are willing to essentially take a haircut to go. Also, again, Miami. So,
I just wanted to say my favorite name.
Let it rip, man. Let it rip.
The offensive coordinator that was hired for the Colts, Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter, come on down. I know nothing about Jim Bob, but I love the fact Jim Bob Cooter.
He was a head college coach somewhere. We used to talk about him. Where was he?
Well, he had a lot of success with Detroit Lions. After later career Stafford, he had some of his best years with Jim Bob Cooter, where he really early Matt Stafford was just really using his arm, and under Jim Bob Cooter, I'm not going to give him completely credit, but I will give some of the credit. He seemed to become more of a guy who understood how to manage the game and do the short and intermediates, take what the defenses give under Jim Bob Cooter. So, I think it's a pretty solid hire. Again, I think Steichen's going to be calling the plays anyway, and I agree. Look, to be fair to Lugs' point, one of my favorite guys who was in college, who was offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo. I just love that a guy's last name was Bobo.
I know a guy named Bobo. Rick. He lives in Shelbyville, Kentucky. Hello, Rick. All right, let's move on to Legs. I'm going to drop this one in your lap. Quarterback rumors, which we love so much. I'm hearing Derek Carr to the New Orleans Saints. What do you guys think of that? Lugs.
See, I'm thinking Jets.
No.
I think Jets. Well, he did go talk to the guys in New Orleans, so that's a possibility. And it would be, that's a good team. That is, they still have on both sides of the ball, and even their special teams. They have quality players. I'm just a little leery of the coaching, but I would like to see Derek Carr in New York. I think that would just be fun. So, what do you think, Dog?
I would actually be fine seeing him in either one. The one that makes it really fascinating is if he does go to the Jets, it feels like, does Aaron Rodgers retire? Because from the Bob McGinn the report, the Packers are disgusted with him. Right. And even I think in Bob McGinn's report, I don't know if he was just trying to be hurtful. They said if he comes back, he'll be the backup to Jordan Love. It's like, all right, you're going to pay a man $40+ million to be a backup? I mean, I don't think so. But if you really kind of look at the lay of the land, outside of the Jets, I mean, who's really going to be in position to get Aaron Rodgers? So like you said, I'm fine with Derek Carr going to the Jets. I just think, well, he has no destination because I don't know if Washington has the cap room because obviously I don't think they do.
I would say Las Vegas, maybe.
Well, this is the thing. And I don't know if Jay Boyle will back me up on this. He has such a strong personality, and I'm actually the biggest defender of this guy. So I'm kind of surprised you even said that. Look, Josh McDaniels feels so controlling, and he wants a puppet at the quarterback. That's why I think Garoppolo goes there. Is he wants a guy he can completely control. Favre has way too strong a personality, and he will. The one point where he disagrees with Josh McDaniels. Because again, we saw that with Cutler, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is much more talented than Cutler.
Cuddy Cutler.
He doesn't like prickly. He doesn't like prickly quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers, while he's much better than Cutler as a player, he's also, I think, more prickly than Cutler.
Well, plus go to Vegas, Lugs. Go in your mind to the those building-sized billboards and electronic displays. Jimmy G is made for that, man. And he'll play to that. He's a good-looking matinee idol guy. He'll have a lounge show by the time his career's over. Rodgers?
But our boy Davis, the owner,
the crazy man,
funky haircut. Think about it. He loves a star. He does love a star. And I'm sorry, but Josh McDaniels, he's not a head coach. And Davis has to know that by now. He does. So, but hey, let me say this about that.
Hey, sir, you are no head coach.
Before we get away from it, everybody's favorite Ryan Tannehill, I'm thinking he goes with the Saints. I was just thinking about it.
Well,
there you go, Jim.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say,
I don't have an answer for that.
I think if he goes anywhere, it's funny too, because you want to talk about rumors. And this is one where, again, I like Ron Rivera's honesty, where they're like, Sam Howell is our quarterback for right now. Like, he's being completely transparent, and I completely believe him. I don't think this is a weird smokescreen. The Titans said that they're definitely going with Ryan Tannehill, that he's their quarterback. But you look at all the guys they cut and restructured, it feels like, why wouldn't you just cut Tannehill too? Because it feels like they're trying to bottom out this year, or at least reshuffle the deck. And you might as well look at Malik Willis as your guy long term this year if you've got rid of all the players that they did. And then if not, you're in position to get like Caleb Williams or Drake May. So I see him possibly going. If you look at history wise. He has a history where he actually became a guy who looked like he's a legitimate starting quarterback under Smith in Atlanta. So I could see him going to Arthur Smith in Atlanta and being their quarterback. So,
but I think Derek Carr to New Orleans is, because New Orleans to me is just add water and you go into the playoffs. And I think Derek Carr sees that. If it goes to the South, the AFC, it's still the AFC. He's got to run through all that all that traffic to get anywhere, all those good teams. NFC South, Lugs, you could suit up. I think you got it, man.
Yeah, I got to try out next week, so I'll let you know.
Is that why you're in the warm weather of Arizona? Getting ready for the combine?
Yeah. Speaking of the combine, a guy who just torpedoed himself, Jalen Carter.
Oh, my gosh. That's a sad story.
Yeah, he apparently walked away from a fatal accident. Yeah. So I had him like probably the number 1 or number 2 pick. So it's kind of sad to see that happen.
He says, I don't know, I'm not saying, obviously players are usually really optimistic. He said later in a release statement, he expects to be fully exonerated once the facts come out about the case. I mean, just from reading the guy, I'm not saying that the what was written up is wrong about the incident. Right. It feels like, I'm not saying for maybe some of the heavier stuff he might be, but to be completely everything wiped away seems. I hate to say it though, like I think he's not only the top prospect. I think Willie Anderson is a very good player from Alabama as a edge rusher, but I just think when you watch Jalen Carter, like he is a star player, and I don't see him falling that far, unless it's really, really bad. I mean, that's all.
Don't all the gurus say he's the best athlete in the whole draft?
Well, let's just put it this way:
given talents.
Not that we need to go into the segment completely, but layman's likes, I just want to say his combination of his first step, his power, and his hand technique. That's the thing that's the big difference between him and Willie Anderson. Willie Anderson is great, and maybe you could say Willie Anderson's upside so much better because his hand technique isn't the best yet, and he's still so. But like he just Jalen Carter. I mean, he uses the club and the swim a lot. He repeatedly beats double teams. And again, this is against Oregon. This is against TCU in the championship game. This is against Clemson. These are not him doing against Bowling Green or Richmond. Like he's doing it against top teams, and he's shredding them. And
Well, he did it against Alabama as well.
That's what I'm saying is you just watch. He has everything you want. He's got a quick first step. He's able to use actually even just his feet to actually kind of do a horizontal cut. So he just gets out of the way of a guy. He can get low. So like he has a great balance where he can dip and rip past like a guard or a center. I mean, that's the thing. And like his first punch is so strong, it knocks a lot of offensive linemen off balance. So he's already won just from his initial contact.
Now, is your bromance, would it be tied to the fact that you're hoping Chicago trades their draft pick and gets said young Jalen Carter?
Here comes.
I don't like where you're trying to spit it. You're trying to spit it where it sounds like you think the Bears like released this statement where he is getting arrested
in cahoots
at the combine, so that he drops, so they could maybe trade back to like the 9th pick or whatever to Carolina and still get Jalen Carter with the 9th pick. That's bad form.
But T-Dog, I want to go back to why you're dissing the Richmond Spiders, man. Come on, aren't they in like the Colonial International Athletic Conference or something like that? They play schools like Davidson and any school in North Carolina that's not North Carolina.
Look, I'll be honest. I know they play basketball. I don't even know if they have a football team. I'm sure they do. Okay. Sorry for throwing salt at Richmond Spiders.
Oh gosh, the only Spiders mascot in the country, which is kind of cool. Just a little trivia. That's your trivia
I didn't know that. Wow.
This episode's trivia question.
I would have thought there would have been a the tarantula somewhere, but okay.
No, that's next year in the XFL when they expand.
Woo! Yeah, to where you are, the Flagstaff Tarantulas coming in now.
Speaking of the
break it up.
USFL, AJ McCarron.
How about it?
2 wins, baby. He was celebrating. I'm thinking, okay, that's your biggest moment since your girlfriend
Brent Musburger
pointed out on TV.
What exactly did he say again? She's a good-looking woman. What did he say?
He said, I think one of the things he said is like, you quarterbacks get all the best women, and it's just like, Brent Musburger.
Well, that ended him. I mean, he's with the Saints or somebody now, right?
He for a few years he was the play-by-play for the Vegas. I think he's retired. I think when he went to Vegas, he got in with some draft sites or whatever, and I think maybe he does presentation and voice work. But I think as a broadcaster for the most part, I think he's retired.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to be 80 years old.
And he was the voice of the Vegas Raiders or the Oakland Raiders, wasn't he, for a bit?
He was Vegas Raiders, yeah.
I think he lives out there, dries out. Maybe doesn't dry out. I don't know. You're looking live at a sold-out, whatever it's called. Okay, where do we go from here? Oh, I have one question, though. Let's go back to Aaron Rodgers for a second. Here's what I want to say. He's an employee of the Green Bay Packers, right? Okay, They can tell him whatever they want to tell him to do. They want him to carry a clipboard. Son, you're going to carry a clipboard. Because on his personnel review, he did not get a good comment on works well with others, right? So why don't they just downgrade him, carry a clipboard, and wouldn't that be great to watch that? And he's the backup. Wouldn't you like to see that?
He'll retire. He'll retire.
Yeah.
40 million, 50 million, you can't carry a clipboard.
But he's guaranteed so much money, know.
So he wouldn't retire is my point. Wouldn't that be theater? Isn't that what Roger Goodell wants?
Well,
theater. I don't know what's that. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
The man wears a mean ball cap. Come on.
All
right, move on. All right, what else do you want to get onto here? Lost my place.
I guess in terms of like combine rumors, I'll ask you some questions since we kind of talked about the Bears trade back. Do they trade the first pick?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, who gets it?
Indy.
Okay.
Really? I would have said Atlanta.
Okay. So, see, I hope for the Colts just because they still have I don't know, but the draft pool they'll get from that's the thing. I don't know how to feel about it because with Atlanta, they'll get possibly where Atlanta is. I think they'll get 2 extra first round picks in the next few years. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a good situation to be in. All right, next one. Will Jalen Ramsey get traded from the rebuilding Rams?
I think they have to, don't they? Just because of the cap, the salary cap.
I'm agreeing.
Because they don't really have any draft picks. I mean, they gave them all away.
I like how Les Snead went from F those picks to no picks F. So again, obviously Jalen Ramsey's already said he wants his contract to be readjusted if he does get traded. Because obviously if you're going to trade for Jalen Ramsey, you have to essentially be missing one piece, right? It's one of those one pieces away type teams. Who's in position? I can't even think of off the top of my head. Who's really that close?
I would say, wouldn't it be the Commanders? Wouldn't they?
They don't have a quarterback, dog.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback.
But I'm saying, Rivera is a defensive coach.
Well, you might be. Look, to be fair to your point, Saints looked like they were like, we're going to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, you're right. There's certain teams that have blind exuberance.
True.
So, yeah, you might be right. All right, here's another one. Actually, it ties in perfectly. Do you think Jeff Bezos will buy the Commanders?
Wow. Let's see.
He owns the Washington Post.
Correct.
Daniel Snyder does not like him.
I think
that's a good.
And I think
good
that
call.
would be perfect. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Bezos would like stepping on Snyder every day.
Well, here's the weird catch-22 for Snyder.
I like that, T-Dog. I like that.
Yeah, here's the weird thing for Snyder. Like, I think it's currently projected for $5.5 billion. Obviously, Bezos can pay more than that. If Bezos shoots way above whoever else is going against him, can Daniel Snyder turn it down? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And also, at one point, whatever personal vendetta you have, if someone's offered you like $6.5 billion for a team that has been awful during your 30-year tenure, it hasn't done anything. They have not gotten better for the most part. They've statically been mediocre to awful. Just, enjoy the rest of, I don't know, whatever the hell he does. Yeah. Anyway.
I think he buys the Commanders and Macy's, too. I think he'll pick that up.
No.
Yeah. Be done. Oh, yeah. Needs an outlet.
Since we always like speaking about quarterbacks, do you think there is a real possibility that University of Florida, Anthony Richardson, will be the first quarterback selected?
I do.
Really?
I think,
wow, okay.
Well, let's look at Bryce Perry. He's small.
Mm-hmm.
He really is very small. I think Richardson has the potential. I want to see him. He's going to be in the combine, so we'll be able to see him against Levis. So we'll be able to see him.
And interestingly enough, I believe of the top guys, Bryce Young is the only one that isn't going to work out. He is going to interview. He's going to weigh so that like all the like pizzas and hamburgers and like milkshakes that he had, so he could get up to 210 pounds or whatever.
Stay with
so
him.
that he could he could put it on the scale, and then when he does his pro day, like in a few weeks, he'll be back down to 185 or whatever. But all those other guys are going to throw. So yeah, I'm with you. If and I just think if Richardson interviews well, if someone gets a good feel for him, because kind of like Lug says, like his talent is so, his ceiling's the highest. Let's just put it how it is.
Yeah.
Like there, but you do worry about. You look at the production, and I'm not even going to say it's on him because I think if you look at their receivers, their offensive line, obviously it was a new system this year. He was never going to be good, but still, like he hasn't had a good year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's all on potential. Like all these guys have warts, these quarterbacks, but still, that being said, I could see why he might be the first one selected. You watch that, go back and watch that Utah game from week 1, and he was scintillating. So
okay, but you see the word potential, in the dictionary. There's an asterisk, and it says C. Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, I think.
Come on. I'm done backing up potential, man. No.
Yeah. But yeah.
So that you're saying, yeah. I don't know.
I'm not gonna say, because again, this guy's the one guy I like the best. His big wart is C.J. Stroud. He's the guy I like the best.
Okay.
But he's going to Texas, don't you think?
Well, this is my like, okay, so obviously Bryce Young is too small. Obviously, you had some injury problems, and obviously his last year, Levis was a train wreck. Yeah. Obviously, you haven't seen Richardson have a great year, but like his big games are just show you like the potential of what he can be. CJ Stroud was pretty great in every game, but like, again, this is kind of like the Kirk Cousins thing where like when a play goes off script, he's had problems. Like he's not a good improviser. Like if the offense is set up perfectly, he can, and he showed some of that improvisation in the semifinal. So maybe he has that. But I think the weird thing I worry about him is his big word is like, I think he has a very high floor. I think he's the guy who's definitely, I feel most confident he's going to have a solid career of any of these guys.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's ever going to be a top 5 guy. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
I hold out hope for Levis as well. I think Levis is far, far better than he showed this past year.
I think he was so injured this year.
Yeah. Come out of that.
And like he was supposedly getting shot up before each game when he came back. Like he wasn't healthy. The team wasn't that great. The offense wasn't great. Scangarelli was a massive downgrade from Liam Cohen. But and even he like might not be his problem because of just personnel. Anyway, got 3 more.
Yes, let him rip.
2 of them Bengals related. We love the Bengals.
We do.
So
Joe Burrow.
T. Higgins, does he get traded?
No, I don't believe you can't break that team up just yet. Maybe next year or in 2 years, maybe. But I don't think. Why would you trade him? I mean, is it just going to be a matter of the salary cap and the money?
I mean, what do you do if you do trade him? Who's the 1A? Who's the 2?
Look, I'm in agreement with you all. I'm not saying this rumor has been thrown out there a lot. I'm with you all because obviously this is the last year you get Joe Burrow kind of cheap.
Right.
You go all in on this. You don't get rid of T. Higgins. Maybe like Lug said, maybe next year you trade him because that's where you can have another year to maybe get a jump off. You're still going to probably get a good draft deal with T. Higgins if you just wait another year.
Because the Bengals are win now, right? They're in that mode right now.
Yes.
They're in the window.
Yes.
Well, and this year, the receiving draft picks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, this is the receivers draft. This one, I mean, there's lots of them.
So I thought you were going another way. I think there's a lot of good receivers. To be fair to your point, I don't know if there's a
lot of potential.
There's no Chase for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a CJ Stroud thing. I think there's going to be a lot of. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think there's going to be some good ones. I don't think there's a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. There might be. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just going by what. Again, I'm a layman. I'm not a professional scout.
Not a prognosticator.
From people that do it for a living, they're like, this is okay wide receiver class. Like there's maybe.
I don't know, man. There's like 6 or 7 of them that I've seen tape on. They're not Jamar Chase. I mean, who is? Yeah. But I think they're good quality receivers, man, that could help out. So, but that back to T. Higgins, I don't see that as being an option. Plus, Joe Burrow is going to get what he wants, and he wants Higgins there.
Yeah, something that might allow them to keep T. Higgins not only this year but next year. Do the Bengals cut Joe Mixon?
He's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, maybe so.
He did have a great playoff game. He did some good stuff. Yeah. But he's getting a little long in the tooth. I mean, it's kind of like Derrick Henry. I don't think he has much left in him just from all the licks he's taken. And a lot of that can be said for Mixon because he was the running back there for a couple of years when they had no chance at anything else and they were just trying to kill a game.
So if it's not him, who's in the wings? What happens?
Well, that's the thing. Samaje Perine played
He did. You're
fairly
right.
well.
You're right.
But also, kind of going back to what Lug said about wide receivers, this running back class, I mean, you got some studs.
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan Robinson, if they want to go that route at the end of the first round, if he does fall, because obviously a lot of teams just don't want to be goofed on for taking a running back in the first round. And I'll tell you what, Bijan Robinson's that talent. I mean, goof on me all you want if I get Bijan Robinson for even just like 5 years of just dominating people. And then we got Gibbs from Alabama. I think he's a really special back. And even like I said, like in the second or third round, I think a guy from the guy from UCLA, Zach Charbonnet, if you watch him, I mean, he's just a really tough, rugged runner who, particularly when he gets a little steam, he's hard to bring down. He's got some good hands. He doesn't have a burst to him. That's why, like, I think he'll go day 3, probably third round, maybe even third day 3. But like, I think he's a good runner. I just think there's so many guys, and you have to go cheap somewhere if you want to keep Burrow, Mixon, and Chase long term. You have to sacrifice money somewhere.
Yeah, somebody's got to go. Good point. All right, what else is on the docket tonight, fellas? T-Dog, you had one more thing, I think.
Yeah, one more.
Testing.
And this kind of goes back to be fair to Lugs. I know, I guess you and I kind of poo-pooed him, but the more you kind of hear about the Lamar situation, does Lamar get – because it sounds like he wants to have more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Does he get that $230 million guaranteed contract?
See, I don't think so. I think there are teams that could really use him and that he could fit with, but I just don't see, because it's just not what do you like you're Miami, if you wanted him, you got so much money tied up elsewhere.
Yes.
I don't know where you would go for that kind of money. I don't, but I think it's going to be tough for him to stay in Baltimore at this point.
So Bezos buys the Commanders, has all this money, and gets Lamar to be with Bieniemy. There it is.
He gives him like just the Amazon shipment under the table.
And one of those ships.
He gets paid.
One of those spaceships that just goes up and down in 10 seconds. Whatever that thing's
I guess Bezos,
What is that thing
Bezos
called?
could pay whatever the penalties are for going over the cap.
Right.
Easily enough.
Could just charge more for shipping, That's all. I mean, it's not that hard. It's just moving money around.
Yeah, Prime. Yeah.
Plus, he gets a free Fire Stick with every purchase or something.
Yeah. I just want to give respect to the Lugs. The more I read or see stuff about Lamar, it's just like,
it's wild, isn't it?
I don't know. And also, just like we said, I think we're of the opinion, like everyone's like, just pay the man. It's like, that's not even that. I think we're all in agreement. Lamar is very good. He should be paid as one of the highest paid quarterbacks. But the problem, and again, it's why the Cleveland's hated by everyone. They screwed up that contract with Deshaun, and now because everyone does the arms race, right. They're like, well, that's the pedestal, and like that shouldn't be the pedestal. They screwed everything up, so there has to be a market correction.
Total morons.
So anyway,
well, I mean, when you look at those just massive contracts, Deshaun Watson failed so far. He may turn it around. Kyler Murray, failure. Big time. Russell Wilson, the worst failure of all for what they gave up for him. I mean, big-time contracts don't mean jack to the team. It only means to the guy that's getting the money.
And again, just because he's our boy, also to add to your list, Aaron Rodgers got paid a ridiculous amount of money last year, and he didn't even make the playoffs. Right. Had a shot and completely, like he's done in the playoffs the last few years, had an opportunity to get in the playoffs by beating the Lions. And he totally choked. So
I think the waters are spoiled for Lamar because it's been screwed up ahead of him, and it'll be on him, and that's kind of sad in a way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, is that it on this edition of Sports and Other Stuff? Could it be?
Well, I've got a little sports of yesteryear if we'd like it.
I don't have the theme song, but why don't you go ahead and let's do it anyway. Ready?
Here, I'll do the music.
Please.
All right. This edition of Sports of Yesteryear, 1910, National Baseball Commission prohibits giving mementos to players on winning World Series teams. Decisions later reversed, making way for the traditional winner's watches, rings, and stick pins. 1938, Federal Trade Commission orders 8 manufacturers and the PGA of America to stop their practice of golf ball price fixing. 1949, former world heavyweight boxing champion Joe Louis retires with 66 3-0 record, including 52 KOs. He defended his title a record 25 times. 1985, Milwaukee businessman Herb Cole purchases NBA's Milwaukee Bucks for $18 million. Today, the franchise is valued at $3.2 billion. And finally, 1996, Atlanta's Lenny Wilkens becomes the first head coach in NBA history to reach 1,000 career victories when the Hawks beat Cleveland Cavaliers. That's this edition of Sports of Yesteryear.
Yeah, thanks, Lugs, for that little update. Herb Cole, $18 million for the Milwaukee Bucks. Was Lou Alcindor on that team?
No. It was 1985. Lewis was L.A. bound, I think. And,
I kind of missed that one, didn't I? Missed the date.
Yeah.
A few facts getting away with a good story. That's what we always say.
72 was when he left the Bucks, I do believe.
He won an NBA championship with Milwaukee, did he not? Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? No?
Hey, did friend of the show, Mike Grosso, did he get a ring from that team? He was on that team, I thought, with Alcindor.
We'll do a little crack research on that and get back to you.
Okay, all right.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition, I think, of Sports and Other Stuff, brought to you in part by a returning sponsor, Rudy's Furniture Mart. After decades of selling quality furniture, everything's got to go, from the pictures on the floor to the rugs. No, that's not how that goes. Rugs on the floor, pictures on the wall. We know, say no. Stop it and ask for a guy we know.
Fish, who is second only to friend of the show, Reverend Clay Calloway, when it comes to the Andy Griffith Show. This week, Fish is celebrating everyone's favorite, Ron Howard's birthday. This week, our beloved little Opie turns 69, my friend.
What?
69. Yes. So, this Saturday, come on down at 1 p.m. Dress as Ernest T., Otis, Barney, Thelma Lou, 8B, or any of the characters, and enjoy a diner meal while displaying your knowledge of the classic TV show. A Darlings tribute band will kick off the entertainment. Prizes include autographed pictures of Charlene, Goober, Gomer, and Floyd the Barber. Andy.
Well, thanks for that, Lugs. Sports and other stuff. First in sound, first in service, first in other stuff. And Lugs, enjoy yourself in the desert Southwest. Say hello to Brent Musburger for us, all right? See ya.
I will.